Hello everybody. Right in my very first video, I said that Styled Edit was one of the apps you're going to use more often than anything else. But that's not quite true. There are two apps on a Haiku installation that are always running. One of them is the desk bar, and the other is Tracker. There it is, our friendly little dog bringing you a file. Tracker, to a large extent, is Haiku in terms of the experience of running a Haiku system. And so there's quite a lot to talk about, and I'm probably going to cut this up into a number of little videos rather than keep you busy here for, half an hour. So let's have a look. The first thing I want to talk about is the Tracker preferences. And as you expect, you will find that here in your preferences menu. There you go. Now, why am I talking about that first? Because, you're going to ask, why does my tracker look different from yours? Because I've set some options here the way I like it. The other possible ways to open any folder, go to Window and Preferences. All right, then you can close this. So, first of all, you see Desktop, Show Disks icon. This is something that goes back right to the first editions of BOS, and normally by default you'll see your various disks on your desktop, probably at the top, but you can choose to have a single icon and all your disks will be in there, including a few that you just shouldn't touch, right? I don't normally have it this way. Show volumes. And if you got shares, like a network volume that you've mounted, then you can choose to have that. Doesn't hurt if you don't have any. The next option is Windows. And if we open this, you see shown folder in location in title tab. I usually have that on, but you can not do that. Single window navigation, by default that's off. However, I prefer to have it on. Now the way I've got it, if you look at desktop, folder 1, folder 2, right, which is over here. See, so it just keeps opening that new folder in the same window. However, that is not the way it's set up by default. Right, so go to home again, desktop, hello, and let's rather start it from here. Right, so if you have this off, then every time you open a new folder, it opens up in a new window. That is the default, and I switch it off immediately because, frankly, I don't like that behavior, but you do whatever you want to do. Okay, show navigator, if we switch it off, you see this thing there disappears. I usually have it on because it gives me this little toolbar, and I can, for instance, just delete this, enter, and it will go there. Right, so then you got a back, right, back, forward, back, or up a level. Right, so I find this very useful. I normally have it switched on. Right, then outline selection rectangle only. Now normally on my desktop or in a folder where I want to select some files or some folders, it looks like this. Right, so there's a color change there. Let's try it over here. See, there's a light blue rectangle. So if we now change that, and we try that again, then it's only an outline without a color change. Again, whichever you're most comfortable. List folders first. I normally have that switched on, and you can see here that here are my folders, alphabetical, and then my files, alphabetical. Some people don't like that. Okay, hide dot files. Dot files are something that comes with a long background from Linux and Unix. Before that, it's part of the POSIX system. So we don't have any here. Let's go up. Let's go to config, settings, and we should find some. I don't have any on here, I don't think. So let's just create one. All right. First, new, and I'm going to make a new text file, and I'm going to call it sting. So I start the name with a dot. This is not something you would normally do. It's something a program does for it. It's where programs keep their right. So if you start a file name with a period or a full stop, if you want to call it that, then that's called a dot file. That's where programs keep their configuration. Usually non-Haiku specific applications. So now what happens if I say hide it? Then it's just disappeared. Now it's still there, but you just can't see it anymore. It's something you use to keep your view a bit cleaner, because I've now just got the one, but once you start putting on programs that have been ported from Linux, then you suddenly get dozens and hundreds of these files and folders that start with a dot. And so this is a convenient way to just have that visible or invisible as you please. Okay, let me just delete that because it's not a real thing. All right, so we're going to put that back on. And it's not just in your settings folder. That works over your entire system. Right, enable type ahead filtering. That is not something I have had much experience with, but this should, yeah, not working in this one. I usually keep it off. It doesn't do anything that I need it to do. Generate image thumbnails, that's a recent addition. Yeah, but so if you have a folder full of images, let's see, I was in one recently, artwork, there we go. Okay, so if we change this to an icon view, because these are PNG files, it creates a thumbnail. That probably slows down the system a slight little bit, but you know, it's just nice to have, and you can always switch it off. So by the way, if you have more experience with this type ahead filtering, no, not something I ever felt I needed or really got to work very well, but if you know exactly how that works, please leave a comment and enlighten us all. Right, volume icons, that's this little icon here on your desktop. Show space bars on volume. And next to a mounted volume is this little bar. And you can see how full it is at a glance. But if you don't like it, you can switch it off. And you can change the color. You can change the used space color, the free space color, and the warning space color. So this one is green for used. It's white for non-used, and there's probably red if the thing is almost full and you better do something quickly. I usually leave that on. I find it handy to just be able to see at a glance what kind of space I have left. Right, mounting. So there's two different issues here. This is automatic disk mounting. Is when you plug in a USB stick, do you want it to auto mount? And the options are don't auto mount. That's where I have it. I prefer to do things manually. Or Haiku disks, or all disks. That one's a bit dangerous because it might have a weird error on it. It might have a weird file system on it, and that can take down your system in extreme cases. Then there's disk mounting during boot. As you can see, I only want to start with the boot disk. We'll get to booting a bit later. Then all Haiku disks, right? So which are formatted with the Haiku file system, BEFS, I think it's still called. And again, all disks. We'll show you how to mount a disk manually. It's quite painless, really. And there's a little thing called mount all disks now, which we're not going to do. So those are your tracker preferences. By the way, when it comes to mounting, there's a third way to get it here. Mount settings. Brings up that same little window. And that is the start of our exploration of Tracker.